Hey folks, welcome back to Kansas Boxing Channel. I hope everyone's doing well. By the time everyone's watching this, it'll be Tuesday. It's already quite late on Monday, so since I'm one of the last time zones in the world, no matter what time I upload it, it'll be Tuesday. So hopefully everyone's going to have a great Tuesday. The subject of this video is it's just like a companion piece to one that I uploaded earlier about, who next for Oleksandr Usyk. And we talked about, whether that should be, Fury 3, AJ, Parker, my favorite, or Kabayel, my second favorite. Moses Atoma, not my favorite at all. Be bad for him, win, lose, or draw. But this is about who should Daniel Dubois fight next. Well, before we get to that, I think we have to really address certain sort of shenanigans and things that have been going on. Like, we would hope that a very valuable lesson has been learned, like no premature party. The more I read about this or hear about this, it's kind of shocking. I see Lawrence Okoli and Joe Parker were actually visibly shocked when they found out about this party. And even if it had been the case that they had a party for the AJ fight, it's still a really bad idea. Apparently, this party that was held before Daniel Dubois faced off against Oleksandr Usyk for the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the world, like the biggest fight of his life, was attended by some 70 people, many of whom Daniel Dubois didn't know. And apparently, he asked his dad, can I go out for a drive? I don't know anybody here. And then, they all showed up to Wembley Stadium and they tried to get in. And apparently, Daniel's dad said, well, if these people can't come in, none of whom apparently had tickets, Daniel won't be fighting. Well, I mean, no matter how chilled you are, that's got to be a distraction. And where was Don Charles in this? I mean, was he partying, or was he sort of waiting at the venue thinking, where's my guy? Or is he just cool about it? Like, who knows? But those sort of, I'm going to just call them shenanigans, would surely have to be like, never again. Okay, we've learned our lesson. And likewise, as you know, I've been, my head's been spinning off my shoulders kind of thing at the way that this build-up was conducted pre the Usyk fight, with all this absolutely unforgivable trash talking. So that's got to be gone. But let's assume, whether he stays with Don Charles or whether he, Kieran Farrell is promoted or whether he goes to somebody else, it doesn't really matter. Let's assume that Daniel Dubois and Stan Dubois have learned a very valuable lesson here. No partying beforehand, no trash talking, or like, other than, I don't know, I suppose there's going to be some, but I personally think it's unnecessary. But let's keep it within the bounds. Let's not go beyond the pale, as they used to say. If all those things are in place, well, Daniel Dubois is an incredible physical specimen, with clearly one of the most potent punching powers in the heavyweight division. Who should he step into the ring against? Now, some people would say, oh, easy touch, get his feet wet, rebuild his confidence, the Mike Bologans of the world, who was Moses Atoma's last opponent. So I thought, why? I mean, that may make no sense. Or, do we roll out a Dempsey McKean? Or do we roll out an Otto Wallin? So that, it's an easy touch. Daniel Dubois goes in, a few jabs, the big right hand, the guy's down, maybe he gets up, the guy's down again. Dubois, the flat track bully, as they say, destroys somebody. Do we go that route? Or does Daniel Dubois say, okay, well, I need to rebuild, but I'm going to go back in at, if not the deepest of the deep ends, at least a top 15 type guy? Does he go and say, look at, well, Lawrence Okoli, for example. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a great fight, but does he look at that level? Or does he look at, you know, giving somebody a Brit, I don't know, like a Wardley or somebody? Probably not. Or does he look to maybe a Bacoli? Now that's not a bad idea. You know, Daniel Dubois, Martin Bacoli. Nobody could accuse Daniel Dubois of going for an easy touch. The former boogeyman, you know, say, listen, okay, I'm gonna get back in 6 months' time. Sure, I got beat by Oleksandr Usyk. Who hasn't? Beaten by a generational great. No shame. Gonna go back in. I'm gonna pick another big, solid, hard-hitting, dangerous guy who isn't going to be moving that fast. That, you know, another sort of, you know, two bulls meeting in the ring, right? That's the kind of opponent that I would lean towards, you know? Or maybe a Zhilei Zhang, if Zhilei Zhang is, you know, still out and about and fighting. Or possibly even, how about this? Ring AJ's doorbell and say, hey, you know, fancy that rematch? We've both come off a loss. I turned you into a meme, and I got memed by Usyk. How do you fancy it? It would be a big seller, be very popular. I don't think AJ is interested in fighting Daniel Dubois, though, to be perfectly honest. I'm a bit of an AJ fan. I kind of like AJ, but I'm not seeing AJ champing at the bit, even though Daniel Dubois is coming off a loss. Does he, well, I was going to say, does he look at Tyson Fury? I think Fury, yeah, never mind. Never mind. But no, who do you think Daniel Dubois ought to fight? Do you think he should take an easy touch, or possibly two? You know, to rebuild. This is what, you know, like, does he do what, say, is commonplace? Does he do what, like, no disrespect to Anthony Joshua, but, you know, Otto Wallin, Helenius, Ngannou? Oh, God, no. Please, no more. I don't think so. Because I don't think, personally, that's going to give him that requisite confidence. Sure, I mean, he could pick, you know, anybody outside the top 15, but within the top 50, and ice them out. But what does that prove? He could do that in a sparring session, right? Putting himself back in the mix with another top heavyweight, that's a little bit of jeopardy, right? I guess that's what I'm looking for. Have another fight with a little bit of jeopardy. I'm a little bit old school. Back in the day, that's really what fighters did. You didn't usually see a top fighter lose a fight against another elite and then sort of, you know, pick up the binoculars and look down, you know, to somebody really sort of, you know, at the bottom of the pile and say, oh, I'll give that guy a thrashing. No, they usually sort of kind of got back on the horse that threw them off. So I guess we're kind of done with equestrian references. Don't push the horses. But anyhow, I'd be really interested to know what you think. Let me know. Should Daniel Dubois take a soft touch? Or should he get back in with a legitimate sort of top 15-ish kind of guy? That would be my preference as a fan. And I think it would say something about Daniel Dubois as well. Obviously, I would like Daniel Dubois to approach his next fight with a different headspace. I think all the trash talking, nonsensical garbage really harmed him, not just in the eyes of fans, but also up here. It's all distraction, right? I actually believe that, you know, if you're trying to train for something, whether it's an athletic event or whether it's, you know, like in my case, a shooting event, you kind of need to have all your shit in a sock, organized, no distraction stuff around you. But hey, you know, so I'd be most interested in what you have to say. Okay, my friends, thanks so much for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you can. Thank you very much if you've already subscribed. And we'll see you on the next video. Have a fabulous day wherever you are. Cheers. Bye-bye.